Hey, my name's Alyssa, I'm a pop producer, and today I'm going to be showing you how to produce a song in the style of 𝐦𝐨𝐫𝐞, Gracie Abrams, or an Olivia Rodrigo acoustic song. Something in that general indie pop, girly pop vibe that we all know and love. The song we're going to be breaking down is a song I produced called Paris by 𝐿_𝐾𝐿.
So she'll do in a pinch, but she's not you, no matter how hard I pretend.
So let's just jump right into the session. A quick little disclaimer, if you will. I produced this song in Ableton and then I recorded and mixed in Pro Tools, which, that's a stupid system. I don't do that anymore, but don't come for me in the comments. So we're just going to be switching in between DAWs. But that brings up a perfect point. Your DAW shouldn't matter. Anyway, let's look at the song. The foundation of the song is based around two main things, the first being these acoustic guitars. I double track these guitars so you can see I have two takes. One is panned hard left and one is panned hard right, and the volume is set evenly between the tracks. You'll hear this technique all the time in indie pop. It's very common to double track your guitars. It helps widen the stereo image of your guitars, so your guitars can essentially sit here and then your lead vocal can cut through right in the center, which we'll talk more about vocals in a little bit. The second main element is this 3-note droning synth pad that I have going throughout the entire song in some variation. It's just a serum patch from one of my favorite serum packs, Drive Like It's 75 by Sean Murray Guitar. And this sounds like this. And then you add the acoustic guitars in with that. Simple synth pads like this are a really nice way to add texture and kind of fill up the song without being too distracting or pulling attention away from what we want the listener to focus on, which in an indie pop song like this is going to be the lead vocals and the acoustic guitars. The next thing we added in were some low-end elements. So we have this reverby kick that's introduced in the second half of the first verse, which just has a Valhalla vintage verb close to the default setting with some of the lows rolled off. And then I did some additional EQ, just removing some of the high end and then this like very low end right here just to get it to sit a little bit better. I wanted it to feel more like this reverby thud that you feel rather than a super prominent kick drum. And this is just a 𝐃𝐨𝐺 sample that I got off of Splice. This reverbed out kick is going to continue on into our chorus, but we're also going to introduce a synth bass to help round things out a bit. The next thing we added was a bass. I'm using Serum again. Not sure where this preset's from. I have too many to know, which is probably not good. But this bass is just a simple respace, and it is side chained to the kick. So every time the kick plays, this is going to duck out a bit in volume, just so we don't have like this low-end, mushy horribleness. That's a technical term. And you can see down here the side chain, so it's taking a good amount out every time that kick plays. We started to pick up the energy in the second verse, so we introduced this 4 on the floor kick, which I believe is the same sample, but this time with no reverb, very similar EQ, and this is going to just give us that driving feel. We got the acoustic guitars. Those are the main elements in the second verse. We've got our droning synth pad from earlier still here. I noticed in a lot of 𝐿𝐴𝐵𝐿's tracks that they use toms to help build the energy throughout the song and create dynamics and transitions. So we played with that idea and used that as inspiration. So I came up with this tom fill to pull us from verse 2 into chorus 2. And those are just the toms from the Make Pop Music Sour Candy kit, which is a great kit for like indie pop, indie rock sounding drums. In the second chorus, we amp things up a good amount by adding in some snares. So with the kick, the same one as earlier, that's going to sound like this. And we also added in some cymbals to help us transition into the chorus. This Twinkly counter melody part ended up becoming one of my favorite parts of the song. It's from this Contact Library piano colors, which I truthfully never use, but it was cool. We found out it was cool, and it has some reverb on it and is just EQ'd out to get it to sit where I want it to in the song. We also introduced some piano, just playing simple chords. This is just an upright piano from 𝐾𝐨𝐽𝐶, as well as like a simple saw-based synth pad. And if you notice, I'm using slightly different voicings from this synth pad versus this piano. What that does, it just helps everything kind of sit in a slightly different space. If you just copy the same MIDI to every single track, it will sound fine, but if you can move some notes around to create slightly different voicings, it really opens up a lot more space in your tracks. So try that out. The bridge is another ramp up in energy. We wanted the production to match the feeling of the lyrics, so we wanted it to feel a little bit intense and like it was building to something. We started by adding in these electric guitar layers, which I played on my Strat. I printed down the amp sim, but it was just this classic crunchy rhythm from THU Slate, which you can get with the Slate bundle. So the guitars sound like this. And you might think that sounds a little bit aggro for an indie pop song. It is a little bit intense and rocky, but those are going to be tucked back in the mix and providing more energy than anything else. We're not going to have these be super prominent. They just kind of create a vibe. And the only other new thing that we really added in this bridge was this tom loop that I found on Splice, and I just chopped it up to be what I was hearing. So I made the loop work for me instead of trying to find a loop that worked. I liked the tone of this one, and most of it was already kind of right, so we ran with this one. And if we jump over here, I chopped it up so it kind of builds. The final chorus is honestly pretty similar to chorus 2, aside from a couple small production things and then a couple vocal things. So for the sake of the video, I'm not going to go through all of the second chorus again. Instead, I'm going to jump into the vocals and take you through how we did some of that. So now we're in the vocal session. What I did is I exported a print of the instrumental and did all the vocals in this session. It just helps save computer CPU, honestly, so you know that your session isn't going to crash while you have someone in the booth. This is just kind of a workflow thing that I like to do because I'm annoying. But if you look here, these are our lead vocals. So I had Claire record each part of the song, probably 8 to 10 times each, and then we went through it all and picked our favorite takes for each spot. So in some parts like this verse, we went heavy with the comping. These are all of our different takes, and then it's all comped into this one lead vocal. And we did that for each part of the song. I like to separate each part onto a different track. Again, that's just a workflow thing, so I can go, okay, the chorus lead, boom, these are all my takes for that. And it's not getting all messy. And then when I mix, I'll put everything together on one track. But that's just how I like to do things. For the entire song, we actually recorded doubles. So I had Claire record these to her comped vocal once we had her lead vocal comped. And these are just her singing the lead 2 more times, and they're panned hard left and right. And they just create this slightly chorusy sound and help the vocals feel a little more full and interesting. Let me play the doubles by themselves.
Please don't go. I'm begging.
And then we put the lead in.
No, I've never been good at coping with.
So that's how the doubles sound. Like I said, we recorded that throughout the song. In the verses, they are a lot quieter than they are in the choruses. That's just so we have that extra lift going into the chorus. We also recorded a good amount of high harmonies. I'm not going to show you every harmony we did, but as a general rule of thumb for this indie pop vibe, thirds and fifths above your lead melody tend to work really well for those high accent harmonies. So for example, this is one of the harmonies that we did in the first verse. And that just helps give it a nice little lift to either accent lines or transition you into another part of the song. If we jump to the chorus, I'm going to show you the harmony stack that we created. One trick I like to use is to take Melodyne and put the lead vocal into that and then generate some harmony options. So we have a essentially Melodyne guide for harmonies. If we jump to the chorus, I'll give you a quick rundown of the harmonies that we added in this part. We have a low harmony that helps kind of round things out. Here is that by itself.
Favorite city 'cause it pulled you away from here,
and then we have a static harmony, which is just kind of hanging on the same note to create some nice tension. You hear that a lot in indie pop. It's like the 1975's favorite thing to do is to just on one note.
Away from here, and maybe it's for the best that.
And it just sounds cool. So the low and the high together sound like this.
Pulled you away from here,
and then we also added in this higher harmony, so here is that with the others.
Just to prove you're fine. Well, I hope Paris is lovely.
And the last kind of cool vocal thing we did is in this bridge. Since we have that production amping up, we wanted to do something fun with the vocals, so we did gang vocals. I had Claire record maybe 20-ish, 15-ish tracks of her just singing the bridge in different voices. So here's some of them.
I'm bleeding through your Band-Aid
And then we add in some more.
I'm bleeding through your Band-Aid.
And then even more.
I'm bleeding.
I had Claire record those parts a bunch of times, and that just makes it feel like a crowd is singing rather than just her. I made her do a bunch of silly voices, like an old man voice and a Kermit voice. I'm not going to isolate them because I love Claire and I don't want to out her like that. But altogether, it sounds really good.
I'm bleeding through your Band-Aid.
There are definitely a lot more vocal things that we added, like little accent harmonies and oohs and things just to keep the production interesting. I'm not going to take you through all of that. These are definitely the main vocal elements if you're going for that indie pop style, and it would take hours to show you all of them. I hope all of that was helpful. If you have any more specific questions about how I did a certain thing, leave a comment, but here is a clip of Paris by Claire Kantz on Spotify. Thanks for watching. Like and subscribe to my YouTube channel.
So she'll do in a pinch, but she's not you. No matter how hard I pretend, just wish I'd had the chance to say goodbye. 8,000 miles is a long way to go just to prove you're fine.